There's like a whole life cycle that goes on when you're on the mountain. You've done a 5-day hunt. You've put 60, 70 miles on your feet. Up and down. It's rained on you. You got wet boots, this and that. Like all these things can go wrong. There's something it does for you mentally. I grew up in Ohio, so I was just born there and then spent my whole life right there on the border, right where West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio all meet. So that tri-state area is where I grew up. Don't know my father. I had a stepdad that met my mom when I was very young. I knew that something was up with the way we were living because if I'd go to a friend's house, they weren't getting treated the way I was being treated. You know, it was like, something's going on here, you know, and my mom struggled with addiction and alcohol and had like 1-2 pairs of jeans, a couple t-shirts. You know, my mom taught me how to steal clothes at a young age. So like I would do that sometimes. My stepdad was abusive and violent. And because you gotta understand, when I was a kid, he would, like when people are like, why would you run from him? Because he would choke me when I was a kid till I pissed myself. So he would ragdoll me and rip me out of my bed and like, if I was like upstairs sleeping, I had a lot of trauma from him and from my mom as a kid. So I was like, I really did think he was capable of killing me. Like I did. I thought he was like, if he really decided he was going to do it one day, he might do it. So I was scared for my life around him. A friend of mine his family owned a Black Angus farm, they were like, hey, you could stay with us for a while. I'll always be grateful to those people because they taught me how to work. They taught me how to work hard, not just work, and work hard for a purpose. And they were a rough and tumble bunch of people. They were rough people, right? Like they didn't hold back, you know, they made it clear like, hey, your only way out of here is football, bud. Like, so you better get it done.
Morning. Ready to get to work? Yeah, let's do it.
What I did was at a young age was I took those negative experiences that I was dealing with and I used them as fuel. That's why football was so great for me because I had all this rage build up. I ended up going to state, made it to the semifinals. I ended up being the Big East Defensive Player of the Year. I got drafted in the second round. I was the Broncos' first pick. That day I got drafted, I had $7 in cash. In my head, I was like, now the real work starts. Led the league in the run stops. Out of 10 years, 8 of those years, I was the #1 run stopper in the league. Which is like, that's man's work. Like, to stop the run is not fucking easy. It's glamorous to go get sacks, but stopping a run, you gotta be a dog. And it takes a different mentality. We won a Super Bowl. I signed a nice big contract with the Broncos to stay for another 4 years. And I met my wife. Something clicked in my head. I was like, this is real. She brought a daughter into my life that she had in a previous relationship. So I had like instant family, you know, and that's what I realized I was always chasing, right? She stuck it out with me through all the ups and downs and the injuries. And then we had our first daughter. Can you go get your boots?
Yeah.
Since I was a young kid, 7 years old, I started playing football. Manhandling people all the way up until I'm 33 years old. That's what I did. So what do I do when it's done?
at, boys?
The MMA stuff has been like so instrumental for me. That's why Lauren Landau brought up hey, Brian Shaw's getting ready for a fight. Why don't you come train? Come grapple with him. And dude, it was like exactly what I needed.
Forehead pointed, chin down. Almost chin. Shuffle. Yes. Big animal posture.
He was playing this like matchmaker, you know. He's like, hey, well, what do you think of Derek? Derek, what do you think of Brian? You know. The first day on let's call it our blind date with Lauren, right? I could tell right away. It was like, all right, man, like it's a good energy.
Squeeze that arm.
As a man, you want to test yourself. You want to have challenge. You want to have struggle. You want to have things to overcome. And I think all men need that. And if you're not filling that cup, that's a problem.
It's a big problem because I think that every sport starts with discipline.
A lot of growth comes from struggle. Some of the most growth that I've had is when I was in the darkest spots and I needed to struggle to find my way out of it, like we're sharpening the sword. So if I don't get challenged in here, my sword's not sharp.
Your guys' second date was a pretty violent date, right?
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful thing. These two brothers getting together and sharpening each other. The rounds we did today were intelligently designed for you to fail.
Yeah.
That was the goal today. They're trying to break you. They're trying to get that voice in your head to say, I'm too tired, I want to quit, all of that, because we have to lean on that. And if we handle that properly, what we get is a person who's battle ready in 6 weeks.
I spent so much time focusing on just the NFL that I sit there and I'm like, I'm done with that. Like, that's gone. To look in the mirror and be like, I don't regret anything I did. I did everything I could and played as hard as I possibly could, trained as hard as I could. I can live with that. That's why I was able to retire and be okay with it. And you see a lot of guys, they'll hang around for too long because they feel regret. Oh, I got to make up for something I didn't do in my younger years. And Lauren always told me this. He said, don't sacrifice what you want the most for what you want right now.
Whew, that's some pressure there.
To come straight out of the league, and I struggled. I didn't know what to do. But I picked my bow back up, and I was like, oh, I missed this. If you come home with nothing, it's like, well, that's what they call it hunting. I don't like to fail, but that's why hunting is so hard, because you fail so much more than you succeed. You can either learn from that or you quit. I was with the Born and Raised boys up in Oregon, and we were bow hunting bears, and I was like, dude, I don't think this is gonna happen in here, because it's so loud and crunchy. There's no way I'm getting in on a bear. So we picked up the SIG 5 SIG, started shooting it, and I was like, man, I've never shot out past like 200 yards. So we were doing like 700-800 yard shots.
Just over right edge.
I always thought, rifle hunting's easy. There's no real challenge to it. But the challenge is the shot. Nothing's perfect out there. You're on a weird hill. You have to find a way to like be level and make a good shot. Because that's another thing. You wound an animal with a rifle that's 500-600 yards away, and he runs off. Who knows if you're gonna ever find that?
Okay.
Congrats, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Great job by everybody.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that brotherhood. That's my goal with Wolfe Untamed, man, is to educate people, to really make an impact, to bring people into the fold, is to change the culture of how it looks. Maybe it's a vet that just got out of military service and he's struggling with finding purpose and finding something to keep him excited, because it gives you something to look forward to. All these different things go into it, and all the game planning and the camaraderie of a hunt camp. I want to tell the story and the journey. That's how you leave a legacy. Like negative energy is like high octane fuel. It's like and gone, right? Because if you focus so much on the negative, things can get dark, man, and they get dark real quick. But positive energy is like this sustainable energy that kind of like keeps taking you along. So that's why it's like, hey, if something negative happens, instead of thinking like, oh, these are all the things I don't have. Let me flip the switch here and say, well, look at all the things I do have. Look at everything that is happening that's good. Focus on the good that's in your life and the positives in your life and use those for fuel.